Stephen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It takes an Avengers size team, obviously, to bring a an animated series like this together. Can you tell me a little bit about what an animation supervisor provides for the series?
Yeah, absolutely. First, very nice to meet you. So animation supervisors. Well, first you have to understand what the animators do, and it's everybody knows what animation is, but not everybody really fully understands what specifically the animators do. And really, animators are like actors, right? Like you have the actors create the acting performance with their voice, and they really kind of define the moment and the energy and the direction. And so they create that performance. But of course, they're only doing it as a radio play for animation. So then the animators kind of have to step as actors, but with a pencil or with a computer or whatever, have to step in those tracks and kind of rediscover and receive that performance and create the visual part of it. So my role as a supervision animation supervisor, took me a while to remember, is supervising all these teams of animators and shot by shot by shot, or even frame by frame by frame, make sure that the our side of the acting equation is correct, that the choices are the right one. You know what I mean? Is this character, when they're saying this line, are they super earnest and looking at you, or are they just kind of like, just telling you this, but they're actually looking somewhere else because for whatever reason that lies under the surface in that scene, right? So it's purely acting, but taking our cue, again, staying in the tracks of those kind of amazing performances that our actors have set a course for, and then we're executing them visually, which of course, because in animation, you create everything from scratch, means that it's the acting choices, but it's also the natural quality of the movement. It's like, how are the poses powerful enough or pushed enough when they need to be, or natural enough when they need to be, all that stuff. And sometimes it's just changing one single frame that will change that's the magic of animation.
What was there any other styles of animation that were brought to the table in the beginning when putting this together, or was this kind of the consensus of this is the style that we want to use for What If?
I think there was a pretty clear vision from the start of what we wanted to do, which was to really get this inspiration from the comics that are the DNA of everything here, but also crisscross that with our love for cinema and acting and camera work, which is we're all huge movie fans, here, obviously, and we're, as we visit through the different stories, different genres or different tones, to just get those two things together and to present it through a third influence that was very important for the style of the animation, which is the classic illustration style of people like J.C. Linebacker, for instance, which is the classic American illustration that has boldness and appeal, but also sophistication. So that, because when you're visiting all those tones, you go from tragedy to comedy and stuff like that, you need to have a visual sense, the moment that is actually able to support that, either because it's funny enough and broad enough, or that has enough kind of dignity to kind of work with this dramatic moment. So we had a pretty good idea from the get-go that was the style that would make that possible, and also make it look as fresh and as new and as sophisticated for animation in a direction that we hadn't seen before.
What is a detail maybe that me as a viewer will never see that is particularly tough about animation?
It's what we call the fisticuffs, right? Like the fighting style. Because what we're trying to do is to be extremely specific with how our characters fight, And if you watch the MCU, you'll see that they all fight in very specific ways, even when they just, and trying to be specific to that and do it justice with like care and attention, was definitely something that a lot of effort and energy went into.
That's real interesting. What was so far the toughest episode to work on?
I think they were all tough in their different ways. There was definitely moments that took a lot of effort to really to execute as great as they came out. Like for instance, in the first episode, all this kind of middle of the story montage with the when Peggy and the planes and all that stuff. I mean, you're talking about really amazing shots in there and a lot of really amazing physical action, and just laying all this stuff out and animating it in a way that feels credible and real enough, and yet fun enough and powerful enough, and just like it gives you all those emotions and sensation when you find it. Like that was definitely a tour de force in animation. Like the animators, I'm just so feel so lucky that I had teams like that to be able to work with.
It's definitely something that's something that you feel goes undervalued because we're just experiencing the whole ensemble of what it goes through. What is a normal time to kind of produce an episode?
So it's kind of non-linear. It's not like we do one and then it's done and we do, it's like they kind of overlap in different ways, and departments can go when they're done, doing something on one episode, they go to the other one. So it's so we're working on the season more holistically, if you will.
Oh, fantastic. Stephan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your work and your insight behind the scenes. It's always really fun to learn what it takes to really bring something like this to life. Let me wrap this up with one question. What do you hope audiences take away from this experience and going back to the MCU and getting a different view of their characters?
I think you said it. It's not necessarily a different view of the characters, but a deeper view of the characters. Because as I always say, like in life, you don't know how you're gonna respond to any given situation until you've been in that situation. And by putting these characters into these new situations, these are characters that and love, and like you would go. The last thing we would want is like do something and people would be like, yeah, she would never do that, right? Would be the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep these characters who have this vibe and that we already know so much about, but put them through new choices, new situations that will reveal a brand new side to them that is even new to them. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what's true for these characters. I think that's true for all of us in life. Life tests you in many ways, and just by accepting the challenge that you learn more about yourself. So I think that's what we're trying to talk about.
I 100% agree with you, because that Doctor Strange deep cut for this week, which people have already seen when this comes out on Thursday, was quite as exactly what you're talking about. It's a different response in emotions and in just the way a character who was in love.
Yeah.
All right, Stephan, thank you so much again, and
my pleasure.
Talk to you again.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.